What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to build myself up a bicycle. We're going to be focusing on the MicroSHIFT Advent X 10-speed drivetrain, 4 drop bars, which we're going to use on this. Pretty happy, pretty excited to get to use this. I'm already familiar with their products as I'm using the regular Advent 9-speed drivetrain on my mountain bike right now. I've been using it for a little over a year and I've been really happy with it, so I'm really looking forward to getting this put on the bike and seeing how this is going to do in the drop bar configuration. Also available with a regular shifter pod for your mountain bike if you're looking to upgrade to a modern 1x drivetrain without breaking your bank. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get some close-up looks at these parts. Alright, starting off, we were looking at the Advent X integrated drop bar levers, shifter and brake lever. Now with the part number that I have here, your left side bar is just going to be a brake lever. There's nothing over here. They do offer an option that has an extra lever in here for an accessory cable. A lot of people with more serious racing or adventure bike use are adding dropper posts to their gravel bikes, and you can get the dropper bar activation lever on the left side if needed. Now the right bar, because this is a 1x system, this is the one doing most of the work. Regular brake option, up and down shifting. The shifter cable on this one, they have chosen to keep it an external routing with standard internal routing on the brake lever so it will run along the handlebars. Standard band clamp that is tightened by an Allen head, right? It runs along the side of the lever here. Has a very nice tall hump grip on it, so you can have a nice extra hand position in the hoods. You can really lean it in there. I'm looking forward to getting these on and taking a look. On to the next part. Right. Next down the line at the end of the cable is the Advent X medium cage derailleur. This is a 10-speed derailleur, wide range, made to work with their shifters only. Alright, and you can see this is a pretty nice unit. Very large sprockets in there, little chain rings. Help keep the friction down, keep everything moving smooth. Highly adjustable. I like that they used Allen heads and they did not use regular Phillips screws that you see on some units. This makes the adjustments a lot easier. It's a lot harder to strip these out. A lot of the ones with the little Phillips heads, they strip out. They just, you can't get the right pressure on them and it's hard to fine tune them. That's a nice feature. And this has a clutch that you can turn on and off. And you can hear it is ratchet and clutch and tunable. Let's open this up and let's get a closer look. Okay, this is held on by 2 Phillips head screws. And this opens right up. Has a lip on it. Help keep it sealed nicely. There's no rubber gasket in there, so time will tell on if that keeps the gunk out of there. You can see the little lever here lines up with a switch on the inside, and there. Can you hear that? That's the actual clutch itself, which is adjustable. You can release the tension on this if you only want it to be have a mild action to it, or you can turn it off and there is no clutch at all. So that should help keep things from bouncing around, keep your chain from smacking around, and keep it on the front ring. Let's move on to the cassette. The Advent X 11 to 48 tooth 10-speed cassette. Let's get this open. Let's take a look. Okay, here is the main carrier. can see it says 10-speed. This is an aluminum spider that houses the 3 largest gears. The largest 2 are aluminum to help save weight. The third one is a steel construction. It does have a double layer electrocoating on it, so that way these should be able to handle whatever situation you should throw them in, be it you know, the wet, the mud, salt, whatever you have. These should last a long time. That shouldn't be an issue. The next 3 looks like we have a similar affair. Aluminum spider. This one just has 3 steel construction chain rings on it. Again, electrocoated. And then we have the rest of them. These ones come individual, so you have to put it together. Make sure you get the spacers in the right spot. With a nice locking ring on it. Pretty nice chain ring, looks very well built. Let's get this all on the scale. Let's see what it weighs. I threw a piece of tape around the whole cassette so we could throw it on the scale all at once. Let's see what we're working with. 10-speed, 11 to 48 cassette. We've got sitting at 0.42 kilograms, that is 420 grams. That is a weight that I am pretty happy with for a 10-speed cassette with this construction. Alright, we got a good look at everything up close. The drop bar levers for the Advent X retail for $149.99. Not too shabby for having a multi-control lever like this. The derailleur, the 10-speed medium cage with a clutch derailleur, retails for $71.99. Not too shabby. And the big pizza pie, 11 to 48 tooth, aluminum and steel construction, retails for $64.99. That, with combined with the weight of 420 grams, makes this cassette probably one of the better deals I've seen out there, if not the best. I haven't actually looked at all of them, so we don't fully know. Now, MicroSHIFT is solely distributed by QBP in North America, so that pretty much means all major bike shops are able to get this. I actually don't know of a bike shop that can't get QBP or isn't set up to order through them, so there's your availability. Let's take these parts, let's go over to the shop, let's see what else we're going to use for this build, and let's get it all together. Welcome back, everyone. We are down here at the basement at Iron City Bikes. Here is the frame we're going to use for this adventure bike, gravel bike, whatever you want to call it, build up. This is a Soma double cross disc chromoly frame. Should give us a real nice ride quality. Let's take a look at some of the other parts we're going to use. Now this is the only other part we're going to be featuring and talking about. These are from Coefficient Cycling. These are their wave handlebars. These should be really good for the gravel bike. As you can see from the front view, they have a nice curve to them. And what this is when you're on the drops riding along, gives you an alternate hand position. Let's get a close-up of these so we can go over the details. The wave bar. These ones are 42 centimeters. You can see they have the little ergonomic curve to them. The top part is ovalized, so that gives a better grip to it. Now, when you're down in the drops, one of the things they did, I don't know if it shows up, if you can see this little notch here. That is for your thumb, so that way, whenever these are wrapped, it's not going to be as pronounced, but there is going to be an indentation here, and that gives a nice natural thumb position for a relaxed hand. So that's, having it around a bar. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a huge difference, but little things add up, especially if you're putting in tons of miles. So we're looking forward to trying that. Carbon fiber construction, and they do come with holes and some tubes in there, so if you're doing internal routing of the cables, makes it way easier to get everything in there. Let's get back to the build. Okay, some of the other parts, we're not going to go over them in detail, but here's what we're going to use. Zip seat post with an ergon saddle. I don't know if you've ever used these. I have, this is my second one now on, I have on 2 different bikes. I'm a big fan of these. These feel really good. They have a nice cutout, nice shape to them. Ergon, if you're looking for a seat, give it a shot. All right, for the stem, we're just going to use a Salsa Guide stem. Standard Shimano bottom bracket. For the cranks, we're going to go with the Shimano GRX. Just kind of a basic crank set in their adventure line. These are the 600 series, so they're not the Holotech arms. But instead of using the standard chainring, we're going to pull those off. We're going to use this wolf tooth narrow wide replacement, so that way we can run the 1x10 system and should shift really nice for us. Let's get to it. One little added detail, in the box with the drop lever kit comes with all the cables you're going to need. Front and rear brake and shifter cables, housings, everything with the little ends, all in one kit. I think that's enough bike build montage video that everybody gets the point. I was putting a bike together. I think it came out great. I only took it for a quick pedal around the parking lot just to make sure that all the cables and everything was seated in. I haven't really put any distance on it yet, but so far this thing feels great. We're going to get a close-up here of the drivetrain so you can see how it goes through the gears. Nice crisp shifts. We're going to zoom in on the handlebars so you can see how those came out. I'm really happy with those. Then we'll get the cameras on the bike, we'll take it for a ride, we'll get some distance on it, and we'll see how these parts actually work in the real world and if they do what they're supposed to. Onto the bike. Before we dive in and start talking about these handlebars, let's take a minute to just appreciate the natural cork wrap. I'm pretty proud of how the wrap job came out. I've only done this maybe twice in my whole life, wrapped a set of handlebars on road bikes. Usually mine come out a lot lumpier. Luckily, Bob was there at Iron City Bikes, gave me a few tips and just showed me how to do the spacing to get it to lay nice and flat, and talked me into using the natural cork tape, and I'd say it looks pretty good on this bike. Wasn't my first choice. I was going to go with standard black. Now that it's on there, especially with the gold frame, I think it really looks nice. This stuff feels great. Can't wait to get some miles at holding on to these bars. You know what? Let's cut to it. Let's get on the bike right now. Okay, now that we're out riding on the road, just getting the bike dialed in, let's talk about how these feel. First, we'll talk about the MicroSHIFT Advent X and their drop bar, hoods, levers, and shifter. Very nice platform for your hands to dig in, with a very tall protrusion for extra hand placement, so you have options. I like it a lot. Left side is just the brake lever, although they do make this in an option. If you choose to run a gravel bike with a dropper post, you can get the actuation lever on that side. On this side you have your shifters, up and down, and the brake lever. They kept both levers for shifting up and down separate from the brake, so you do not have the action like the STI levers, where sometimes you go to grab the brake and the whole lever comes back at a 45-degree angle. Not that it's a bad thing, I just don't prefer it. I like having the separate controls. Now, for everything I do like about it, it has very nice crisp shifts, and the gear range is pretty huge on this. Two things I don't like, and that is the one shift lever does stick out a little bit. While it's not a huge issue, Some people may not like it, depending on the size of their hands, depends where their hands lie. And right here on the hoods, do not line up exactly with a bar. That could just be because the bars I'm using, it's hard to say. Could also just be with the price point they're trying to match with the price point they're trying to make with this kit. They kind of had to fit the bill between a radius that would fit as many bars as possible, but it's not bad. I like it. It's feels pretty good. It's more of just a small aesthetic thing that people might not like. All right, and that leaves us with the wave bars. Now, with the cork wrap in this shape, like we looked at earlier, I think these look amazing. As for the hand positions, obviously when you're with the hoods, you have your regular hand positions. Down in the drops, we'll have to zoom in again now that they're wrapped, show you that thumb notch again. They have a very, very nice handhold down in the drops. On a bike like this, I'm pretty much up top all the time. Now this hand position, this is one I will be using quite a bit. This added height and the little bit of angle really takes a lot of pressure off my wrists and lets you sit upright a little more, or you can even get in here a little aggressive if you need to and just keep your hands in tight. Very different from any other bar I've ever had for having a top position or mid grip. I don't know the exact technical term, if there is a name for this one, but whatever it's called, I like it. I know how I ride on my other bars, and I'm usually holding here quite a bit as I'm going through the city. So this is a very, very nice added feature that I bet a lot more companies are gonna catch on to this and come out with their version of it fairly soon. But so far, this is the best angle that I've felt. These are the coefficient wave bars. Okay, now that we're back inside and we have this view, you can really see the initial rise out of the stem and then the angle. Gives you a really nice angle on your wrist here whenever you're in the tops. And also this little hump here, having the added thumb position, doesn't sound like much, but it makes a pretty big difference now that I got some riding on it. Really like that a lot. Alright, next, moving on right here. Very subtle now that it's wrapped. It was a much more square notch, but that is right where your thumb rests when you're in the drops. And like I said, it's not a huge difference, but little subtle differences when you're putting in long miles really add up. On to one of the very few complaints I have about this system. As you can see, here's the brake lever. Here's your shift lever for going into your low gears. Right here, this little guy. The shift lever for going into your high gears. Just that it sticks out that little bit. You possibly could, if you're going onto your hoods here, depending on how you grab, you could accidentally get a ghost shift, accidentally shifting when you didn't mean to. It's not bad, honestly, but just the fact that I noticed it whenever I grabbed it with my hand is, like I said, not a cause for concern, but some people are going to notice it, and some people can be very picky. The other issue you can see right here, this is where it's not matching up to the hood. Like I said, more of an aesthetic. You don't really feel it when you're up there, but it's there, so it's worth talking about. We've looked over all the parts. We've looked at them up close. We've weighed them. We've installed them. We've rode them. The AdventX MicroSHIFT drivetrain with a drop bar has a lot of positives about it. The gear range on it, the 11 to 48, is pretty massive with a 10-speed. I'm running it with a 46-tooth front chain ring, 1x10. And so far, with the miles I've put on it, that feels really good for everything I've been doing lately, riding around, mostly using it as a commuter. If I was going to go full gravel build and going to take it off road, I'd use some 650B wheels and maybe drop down to like a 38 tooth front, give me some better gearing in the rougher stuff in the off road. Total price for everything for the MicroSHIFT with the drop bar setup comes to about $290. That's a really good price for getting pretty much a full kit like that, especially with the weight that we mentioned earlier that the cassette is. It's extremely light. If you need to save a few dollars, they make another cassette that does not have the alloy rings to it. That'll save you about $20. I don't know how much exact weight that offsets, but it's probably not much. But for the amount of money, for $20, I'd say just spend it, get the one with the aluminum rings on the big end. Unless you're putting it on an e-bike, then go with a steel because of the added torque. If you want to use the Advent X on your mountain bike, instead of going with the $150 drop bar option with the shifters and brake levers, and you just need the shifter pod, that's only $29.99. So that brings the total kit price down pretty cheap. I've mentioned before, I'm riding the regular Advent with a 9-speed on my mountain bike right now, and I'm really happy with it. So if you're looking for upgrades for your mountain bike, either the Advent 9-speed or the Advent X 10-speed, definitely very good options. The Wave handlebar, the extra hand positions and the way they feel is really nice. That is definitely an added benefit. The only thing that I see as a downfall for this is the price. These retail at $329. I'm pretty fortunate that I was able to get a hold of a set. Bob at Iron City and Jeff hooked me up with letting me try them out for a while. Probably going to leave them on the bike for as is. Now with that price, you do get the kick-ass shape. I really can't stress enough how great that does feel when riding. They are carbon fiber bars, so they're extremely light, extremely strong, and they do have the internal cable routing. But that price is going to be a determining factor for many people. As always, I'm not going to make the decision for you. You need to make that for yourself. I can just give you the information. Well, hopefully in the future you'll be seeing a lot more of this bike. This is going to be the test mule for some parts coming up, and we're just going to get some good ride and maybe some good adventures on it. I'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll ride together.